What's up, party people? My name is Sunny Ray. This is my co-host, Danny Ray. This is the Sunny Ray Show. Today, I've got my third guest for the day. Her name is Juana. She is a co-founder and chief strategy officer of AMLOK. They're a Toronto-built risk intelligence layer for financial institutions. I'm really, really honored to bring on Juana. How you doing?
Hey, how are you? Hi,
I'm
Danny.
good. Yeah, I have a co-host that decided to crash the party. This
How
happens.
lucky am I?
He wanted to say hi, and he's actually got a deep interest in risk intelligence.
He knows
So yeah,
what's
we'll see
good.
where this goes. Where are you calling in from? Are you in Toronto yourself right now, or are you
I'm
traveling?
currently in LaSalle, Ontario, which is
Okay,
close to Windsor.
good for you. So first question: what are you building? What's AMLOK? Why should people care? And maybe like what are people going to walk away with at the end of this half an hour together? Like what are they going to, I guess, have a deeper understanding of, not just of you, but like of what you're building?
Yeah, sure. So, what we're building at AMLOK essentially is a risk intelligence infrastructure for financial institutions. And simply, what the way we like to describe it is right now we see lenders still make capital decisions based on fragmented snapshots of a business, but businesses themselves, they're dynamic, they're constantly changing. So, we help turn that fragmentation of financial data into clear, continuously updated views of the businesses and the risk for the lenders, and we embed into the entire life cycle of the lenders. And what I hope we listeners get away is, yeah, it's very interesting time. Technology is moving really fast, and at AMLOK, we really leverage all of that and bring it back to a lot of the institutions that shape, how economies are built, how businesses are supported. So yeah, I'm really excited to dig deeper with you.
Yeah, as am I. So I guess, Joanna, just to kind of go back a little bit, right? In terms of, so you trained as a management engineer at Waterloo, and then ended up inside Cardano governance and Dow capital allocation. Like, what pulled you in that direction?
Yeah, so my program at Waterloo was really interesting and progressive. And through my experience, I was able to work in many different industries. We learned, we studied optimization and simulations and technology and whatnot. And, when I left and I got introduced to the blockchain space and decentralized governance, my brain was like, what more complicated endeavor is there than to try to have humans self-organize, and that's the essence of what DAOs are. They're building mechanisms for humans to self-organize and communities to thrive in a decentralized manner. So, you know, that's really what got me into it initially.
I don't know if you were around during the super early days, the first DAO. Do you remember that one? The when the Ethereum split into two chains and all of that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So what? I guess I mean, they had a rough start, but the idea of a DAO is obviously very interesting, right? And a lot of people don't know it. But decentralized autonomous organization, what does that even mean?
It just essentially, in simpler words, it means that it's an organization or a community of people that's come together without bureaucratic mechanisms of governance. So they organize themselves, they have a roadmap and goals that they share, and they decide together on how they should progress, and how the organization continues to evolve, essentially, without one central entity making those decisions on behalf of everyone else.
Right, right. So I guess years of watching a DAO decide who gets funded, like what did that teach you about capital and trust that a bank maybe would never teach you?
Um, it's exactly what you just said. I guess the biggest thing that I was taught is money is not is mostly about trust. And when you're in a decentralized environment, um, there's a lot of different factors that come into play about how you make decisions on who gets funded or where the money gets allocated. It also, you know, teaches us that just because you have a lot of information doesn't mean that there's a lot of meaning that comes out of it. So really, like, what it's taught me and what has become very clear is that, you know, there's a lot of other metrics and factors that contribute to how people become trusted in an environment, and whether that's how you contribute to certain projects or endeavors, your reputation that you build throughout the ecosystem, your values that you share within that ecosystem that you're building. And so there's a lot more than just, okay, let me get this money and let me see how I'm going to give a return, or, pay it back, essentially.
Yeah, that really resonates. And Joanna, which people, books, or ideas shaped how you think about risk today?
I would say the biggest person that really got me thinking about risk in a way that I've never before is this brilliant scientist and mathematician that I had the pleasure of working as a co-owner with a previous startup that I was working on, and his name is Kenrick Nelson. And he's the creator of an entropy function, and he's brilliant, but essentially we worked very, very much on a lot of work within the decentralized space and AI governance in general. And we created frameworks together for how blockchain governance, we think, should be determined or applied. And throughout, a lot of the work that I worked within Cardano, Dr. Mihaela Olerio, I don't know, she's also a brilliant physicist, very, very embedded in AGI and in the space. And a book, it's not necessarily about risk, but it's really about self-organization or mechanisms of how we can organize better. And it's called We the People by John Buck. It's a really interesting book, and it's based on the concept of sociocracy. I don't know if you guys have heard of it before.
I have not heard of that.
I recommend you look into it. It's really, really interesting.
Will do. Okay, so I guess, is there a skill from the governance years that still shows up in how you build AMLOK?
Absolutely. There's many. I think a lot of the main one is really how we try to organize ourselves within a more traditional company. We are, we're not an open institution of any sorts, but how we run our meetings, for example, how we organize ourselves, how we determine our goals. So a lot of the leadership and the governance frameworks that I learned from working in open communities, we try to embed within our company as well. But really, I think it's more that decisions rely on a lot more than single metrics. And I learned that a lot from what we were discussing earlier, how you can contribute like your previous contributions throughout your life and how they can translate into what you do today. And so, yeah, understanding that data in a sense that's more comprehensive.
That's really interesting. Cool. So I guess, Joanna, what's the through line from, kind of like DAO governance to building now risk infrastructure for Canadian banks and credit unions?
Like, how did I get here is the question? Or
yeah, I guess what's the kind of the common denominator? What's the line, the thread that kind of, connects everything?
It's what we were saying, that money is not just dependent on, I give you this capital, you pay me back in this much, and like single metrics that you achieve. It's really based on a lot more. It's trust. Businesses, just as people, are dynamic beings, and we should be able to treat them as such and have a more consistent value share between the both entities. And so really, like, financial institutions could help also shape how economies are built. So if there's more mechanisms to help them apply their capital in a way that helps the businesses also and it's just beneficial, it's a circular economy in a sense. I think that's where I see the most connection is the outputs are like they're ever evolving for both entities.
And so you say this like risk is a movie, right? Essentially, financial institutions are underwriting from a photo. So can you walk me through that line and kind of the moment that you landed on it?
Yeah, for sure. So right now, typically from the processes that we've been studying, if you go to a lender and you ask for funding, they might ask you for a bank statement or credit information, a bunch of PDFs or whatnot. But there's a lot of obligations that are hidden. There's data that's not shown with this, maybe how concentrated the revenue is, what the risk profile, how it changes. So this is really where it comes from, is right now lenders see all of they base their risk off of a photo or a snapshot in time, versus what we do is we give this continuously updated risk profile and data that helps the lenders see how the businesses evolves before, during, and after the capital is allocated.
Interesting. Interesting. So something like what 52% of micro businesses had to sign a personal guarantee to get approved, right? What does that number actually tell you kind of about the state of underwriting?
I think it's mostly like the visibility problem. So within AMLOK, we like to say we're trying to solve what we refer to as the four V's: visibility, veracity, velocity, and vigilance. And this just shows you that there's a lot of hidden information that's not captured when the business goes to apply for a loan. Yeah, essentially.
Interesting. And so you found $9.3 billion CAD in delinquent payments, right? That carried identifiable distress signals. Identifiable means somebody could have seen it coming. So why did nobody?
So this is where the vigilance part comes from. This is what we're really actually excited about is, a lot of the relationships between lenders and businesses right now end at they don't necessarily end, but once the capital is deployed, there's just periodic reviews. So the business doesn't have a continuous understanding of how the financial health of that business is evolving. So what we offer is a continuous monitoring aspect where after the capital is deployed, the business is still plugged, the lender is still plugged into the business in the sense that they are able to see how their financial health is evolving. And so with that, they can potentially predict defaults, they can make dynamic structures, they can detect stacking. There's all sorts of information that's very beneficial for both the business and the lender after the capital is deployed still.
Interesting. Juana, open banking, right, became law in Canada in 2024. So what did that actually unlock that was impossible, the year before?
Yeah, open banking is really interesting, and I think obviously it's extremely beneficial because now it creates access to a lot more financial data. So there's businesses could share their access to their financial data with institutions that are helping them in a more streamlined manner. However, access to more data does not automatically create better decisions, or it doesn't create the meaning behind all of this data that's now being shared. So if we're already seeing information asymmetry and problems with understanding data right now, you can only imagine when this plethora of data is now accessible to everyone and there's still no way to detect and understand what this data means. So we try to act as that layer that can decipher and get all this fragmented data and make sense of it for the right partners.
That's really interesting. So, synthetic fraud is now roughly like a quarter of all fraud losses, and generative AI made creating a fake business almost, I guess, free, right? So, how does that change what you guys have to detect?
Yeah. So this is the veracity V that we refer to as, can you trust the information that you're looking at? Obviously AI has benefited us a lot, but on the flip side, it's also made fraud and like you mentioned, synthetic data a lot easier. So our view is that you shouldn't only also just trust one source of truth, because we plug into all of these different sources of data. We're able to, create trust between all of the different information that we're getting. And we also use obviously very advanced algorithms to help verify if data is being changed, when it's being changed. So we have all of these mechanisms to help the lenders understand and detect whether the data that they're getting could be trusted and verified, essentially.
Got it. And then I guess OSFI guidance and little guy is piping up today.
He loves the conversation.
Yeah, he's really into risk intelligence. OSFI guidance. I was going to ask you about that. And Quebec's, just give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Yeah, normally it's not that wild. Anyways, and Quebec's kind of automated decision rules mean that explainability is now a kind of a business requirement. So it's not just like a nice to have. Is there a constraint on you, or is that like an advantage?
No, it's definitely I wouldn't say it poses really a constraint or advantage. I think it's mostly just, like we mentioned, creating this more trusted environment for the partners that we work with to be able to understand better the decisions that they make and why they make them. And with AI, right now, you could really be operating out of a black box. So what they mean by explainable AI is you should be able to clearly identify how and why you made the decision based on what. So everything that we do within AMLOK is, explainable in the sense that we also don't automate decisions themselves. We help automate the decision workflows, but yet the decision still needs a human in the loop, and whatnot. So these are the mechanisms that still allow, you know, financial data to be, intelligible.
Yeah, and Juana, in one sentence, can you what does AMLOK do inside of a lender's process, and like what does the lender have to change to get it?
Yeah. So really what we've tried to do, because we work with institutions that already have their processes and their systems set in place, is we're not here to disrupt, we're just here to augment. So we really embed into their existing processes. So we have our proprietary graph that they plug in the data of the businesses they're trying to assess. And then the outputs could integrate right into the systems that they use. And then that could trigger certain workflows based on the processes that they already have. And then that way they can make decisions a lot faster with a lot more information, and then they continuously can monitor the businesses as well after they've made the decision on which products to support them with, which capital to deploy.
And in, I guess, can you walk me through assess, decide, monitor? Like where does the customer feel the difference first?
So like I mentioned, so when a business, let's say, first comes to a lender and they want to get a loan, for example, we connect to the entire business's financial ecosystem. So we have a lot of data on the business. That data gets plugged into what I mentioned, our graph, and the output is what allows the lender to understand the business more comprehensively, assess the risk profile of the business, map to its internal underwriting processes and structures. So that's the first part. That's allowing the lender to properly assess and understand the businesses that they want to support. Decide is where, based on that output, it plugs into the workflows that exist. So let's say, okay, now if it's like this, we can trigger this department to make this decision, or whatever workflows already exist within the lending process, and we just kind of embed into that and automate that. And then monitors, after they've made the decision on how much capital they want to deploy, what are the terms, they're able to continuously, like I mentioned, monitor the health of the business and how it evolves.
And this like continuous monitoring, it catches payment drift, right? And new stackers months before a missed payment. So how early realistically, and what does a lender do with that warning?
So again, this is really dynamic and really inherent to the partners and the institutions that we work with in their own mechanisms. What we hope is with this, they can, detect early enough to potentially make dynamic structures better for the business. They can have more communication. Stacking is really important. That's a really big thing right now, or not right now, I guess it's existed, but where a business could get a loan from this lender and then go get an equipment financing from this lender. And then there's like space between when these decisions are made and how they're made, and there's no way to see the full picture. So we just give this information to the lender to help them make more dynamic decisions that could support them better.
That's fascinating. Joanna, you're putting an AI layer inside of a credit union's credit decision. That's like one of the most conservative kind of like rooms in finance, right? So how are you earning that trust?
Yeah. So we've been in the SMB financing space for the past 3 years. We pivoted our model, but we've definitely gained, thankfully enough, I would say, beneficial and relationships that we're very grateful for over the past 3 years. And so, as you know now, credit unions, as a lot of other types of institutions with technology, they're always competing and trying to stay ahead. So we're really, and I think what really helps is the idea that we don't disrupt processes, and we're not here to make it complicated. We're here to really just help you get to where you want to get to faster and help you elevate your business. And so that really sticks. But yeah, I think obviously, as with a lot of these institutions as well, there's always risk with third party. But with the whole explainable AI thing that we discussed and all the different mechanisms and guardrails that we've set in place, it's helped establish a lot of the trust of how we work together.
And this space has almost like no public voices. So would you ever run your own show to help people kind of like understand risk data?
I mean, yes, I would definitely like to get into podcasting again. We're very grateful and excited that we got accepted into the Canadian Lenders Association. So we're an approved vendor there, and they run roundtables quite often. So I think it's a really good space to understand and get the first, right out of the horse's mouth, as they say, from all of the leading lenders and vendors in Canada. But yeah, I mean, why not? I think if this is interesting to people, we would love to do something like this.
I guess, where do people learn more about AMLOK? Where do people learn more about you? And yeah, and then after that, I guess we'll bring this one to a close.
Sure, yeah. We're mostly active on LinkedIn. So our page is AMLOK Tech, and I'm on LinkedIn, Juana Attieh, just how my name is spelled.
Awesome, Juana. Well, thank you. You've been a lovely guest, and risk is everything, really, if you think about it. So, I mean, I think it's not something that I think everyone wakes up in the morning dreaming about, but I'm glad there's people like you tackling these types of problems. Really, really interesting story. With that said, I'm going to bring this one to a close. Do you want to hang out for 1 minute? Thank you all for tuning in as well. I really appreciate all the live viewers, and until next time, cheers.
Thank you, everyone.